Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ MV Angela Yee, Charlamagne the guy. We are the Breakfast Club. We got a special guest on the line right now.
Yes, sir.
What's happening?
Tip, last week it was 50 Cent. Now you want to smoke with Lloyd in London. What's happening?
Man, I'm bored, bro. I'm bored, bro. You know what I'm saying? And to be honest with you, bro, I think last week it was a fun idea, to challenge 50's catalog and and play 20 records of mine versus his. That was a fun idea. I think he's reluctant to do so for some reason. I don't know, you know what I'm saying? But a lot of respect for 50, and I'm a fan of his music. If it ever does happen, you know what I'm saying? I think regardless of the outcome, which I shall be victorious, but I think it'll be entertaining for the fans more than anything else.
Now, you guys don't have problems. People thought you have beef, but you guys actually are in business with each other. You guys have shows that you're working on. So it's not problems. It's just having a little bit of fun.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I feel like 50 and I, man, we have a mutual respect for one another and always have. And, it wasn't personal. You know what I'm saying? It was just, if I ever go head to head with anybody, it's going to have to be somebody who have, let's just say, a robust ego. You dig what I'm saying? It got to be somebody who ain't intimidated by my personality. And I felt like 50 is one of the most monstrosity of ego that you can have. So I just felt that it was a proper matchup, and with our professional affiliation, I feel nothing but good can come from it.
It seemed like it got a little disrespectful for a second when they posted the Crime Stopper commercial, and then I guess Yayo saw K-Dub in New York.
I mean, I don't know. Let's just say the K-Dub and Yayo, let's just call that a coincidence. You know what I'm saying? Let's just call that a coincidence, a timely coincidence. I have no reason to believe that one was directly related to the other, just a misunderstanding amongst two men or a few men, especially when there's alcohol involved. It's been known to happen. So, you know what I'm saying? We ain't going to make too much out of that. We've moved far past that and beyond that. Now, as far as the video, I just feel like that's just a strategy of an opponent when you playing chess across from each other. I don't take no offense to that, because that's a part of I guess, man, my years in this shit, something I had to endure. But I still will let the fact be stated. I have never given any information on any person to implicate them in any crime ever, whatsoever at all. And I had no problem in stating that factually with a clear conscience and a pure heart. So that video don't bother me. You dig what I'm saying?
And it shouldn't, especially, man, a couple of weeks ago, that young 8-year-old girl got killed in Atlanta. Right. And, it's times like that where we need people to speak out and say what's going on.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have no problem with a civilian picking up the phone, calling Crime Stoppers.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's the thing. I think that was my whole purpose behind, you know what I'm saying, doing it anyway. At the time in Atlanta, it was a case that was going on where an old elderly black lady in a community, in a neighborhood, her house got broke in, she got raped, robbed, and kind of beat up, and didn't nobody know nothing. You dig what I'm saying? And you know what I'm saying? I felt like that was exceptions are made for exceptional circumstances in my view. And I feel like that is an exceptional circumstance. Just like you spoke about, a 8-year-old girl gets shot, you know what I'm saying, in the crossfire in Atlanta. I feel like those are exceptional circumstances. It's not like me and you go and rob a bank, I get caught, you get away, and I tell your name. That's different. You dig what I'm saying? So that's why that shit don't really bother me, man. But I am eager and anxious to sit down and play my 20 versus his. Steve.
I know y'all got the show that you got that I think that's coming out. Is it about the hip hop police? Is that what?
Well, I see now. That's the thing. I can't speak too much in great detail about it. You know what I'm saying? Because we still working at you know what I'm saying, things with the network and finalize an ideal point. So I don't want, it ain't time to really make no huge announcement. Just know he and I are working on executive producing a show together, and we have a network that has already expressed interest in partnering with us.
Gotcha.
Now, did y'all talk at all though? Did you and 50 ever communicate on this at all?
Vaguely. Yeah, we did. It was just kind of like, you know, a brief conversation in passing. I didn't tell him what I was gonna do, when I was gonna do it. I just say, hey man, let's do this. He was like, you want to do it? I was like, yeah, let's go and do it. You the only one that I think can really stand up to this shit. And he started laughing, and he was like, all right, shit, let's do it. And then, you know, I think I kind of pressed the gas a little more than he anticipated, I believe. You did.
Now, you know, T.I., you are a very wise individual. Did you see Boosie say he would have served the full sentence rather than participate in the Crime Stoppers commercial? What would be your thought? What would be your advice to him?
I have no advice for him. As men, we all have decisions that we have our own decisions to make, and if that's his, I respect that.
Mm-hmm.
I respect that.
What would y'all have? What would everybody else have done? You guys would have done the commercial, right?
I respectfully disagree. I had shit.
I'm
not willing to tell on nobody to keep from, you know what I'm saying, doing long numbers and you know, and to cancel out millions of dollars in my career. But but to keep from doing a drop to tell citizens to do what citizens are already able to do, I'm gonna do that every time. I'm gonna do that every time. If I catch another case, you can see it. You can expect another commercial.
You gotta go catch another case.
You know what I'm saying? I'm just letting you know now. You know, that's why I draw the line. You know what I'm saying? I ain't that gangster. You dig what I'm saying? I'm not that gangster. I'm not finna tell on you. But if, you know what I'm saying, if something happened and me doing this commercial can get me, you know, a favorable outcome, I'm gonna do that every time.
And you grown. You about to be 40 this year, Tip. There's nothing wrong with Crime Stoppers. Everybody.
Listen, bro. I have no. I don't have any angst or regret or anything like it. I'm not guilty. I don't feel guilty or bad about it, bro. It ain't nothing. It really ain't nothing, because I know I ain't putting nobody in jail ever.
Right.
Ever. You get what I'm saying? So if it's the difference between a commercial and telling on somebody, I'm gonna take the commercial every time.
Now, for people that don't know what Lloyd's of London is, Charlamagne mentioned earlier, explain to people what Lloyd's of London is and what they do. For people that don't know.
Lloyd's of London, they're a financial entity. They are a lending and insurance company. Yeah, they insure, you know, weird things like, you know what I'm saying, they might insure opera singers' vocal cords, or they might, you know what I'm saying, like just different things. I believe they insure all of professional sports. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like they insure large corporations like 20th Century Fox. You know what I'm saying? So they got their start. They are a $56 billion company and some change. They're a $56 billion company, and they start. They became a valuable, lucrative entity. Ironically, the day the first ship docked in America from Africa full of slaves, they lent money to the colonizers to build and buy ships. They insured the cargo, which were our ancestors. And you know, if some of them happened to not make it, well then, you know, their client merely paid a deductible, and he was paid in full for his loss of cargo. And of course, as the transatlantic slave trade progressed and evolved over generations, they began to become more and more prosperous. And after the slave trade, you know, they maintained that empire and sustained their success as our people were ripped from our heritage, our religion, our language, our native land, and they prospered off of that process. And be that as it may, and also they've also acknowledged the shameful role that they played in it all and apologized, which is noble. We do appreciate you holding yourselves accountable and acknowledging the role you played, but I don't think, given the severity of the nature of this outcome, I don't think that an apology will suffice.
Now, would you have gone up to Lloyd's in London if they didn't already make the I guess the promise to repay the Black community for their involvement in the slave trade? You just
Yeah, absolutely. See, that's the thing. So if you see fit to repay, see, you cannot do wrong to a people and then tell that people, that group of people, how you are going to fix it for them. That group of people should be able to sit down and tell you what is acceptable or deemed appropriate to rid you of the guilt or to rid you of the shame or to wipe the slate clean. You cannot tell us what you will do for us, make it comfortable on yourself. Nah, man, you're going to have to do what we deem appropriate. And I feel like that is why someone needs to be speaking up and directing the course of action to somewhere realistic, somewhere reasonable, and somewhere effective for us and our people.
What are some things you think they should do?
Oh, okay. Well, I think first of all, man, I think that us, the descendants of the slaves that they insured and that were brought here due to the transatlantic slave trade, us, the descendants, I believe, are entitled to at least 10% of Lloyd's of London, the entity, in perpetuity, because they built this empire off of the blood, sweat, and tears and the backs of our ancestors, okay? And they're given, and not just slavery, all of the things that come after slavery, whether it's Jim Crow, segregation, even right now, the police brutality and everything that we deal with. War on drugs, everything, all of it, mass incarceration, all of it. You know what I'm saying? Us being poverty stricken, all of that is a result of their participation in the transatlantic slave trade. So their empire, their $56.8 billion is all fruit from a poisonous tree.
I love it.
And in addition to us having 10%, I believe since they saw fit and they deem it appropriate to lend money, if they can lend money to the colonizers that captured, kidnapped, raped, and enslaved us, surely they can lend $1 million at 1% interest with no guarantor to every Black person who is a descendant of slavery in America. And given that we are the most economically disabled people, and we have less resources to speak of, less ownership to speak of, and we have a less of an opportunity to walk in banks and get loans to fund our ideas, visions, and for us to educate our own people, to build corporate structures and entities around us and have a self-sustainable ecosystem within our community. We need this. So banks slam doors in Black people's faces every day. Now, the irony of banks are the reason we're in this shit in the first place. So you mean to tell me that you guys built your empire as a corporate, a financial entity? You built this ability to be able to have the authority over me and tell me whether or not I should or should not get a loan for a house or for a business or for an invention or whatever it is. You're telling me I can't, but you built this on the blood, sweat, tears, and the backs of our ancestors. How dare you tell us no?
Mm. So
I think that, and I feel that everyone who had a part in it, have a part in making sure that the effects of the transatlantic slave trade are rectified by our standards, not theirs.
Gotcha.
Now, actually, I thought that because, Black people make up for what, 13% of America's population. Mm-hmm. And let's see, the transatlantic slave trade pretty much got us over here, and we maintain 13% of this population. So that's why I felt that, around 13% of the company was fair, but I just rounded down because I could do the math better in my head at 10%. So I did that in consideration of them. Right. It's being a fair, reasonable person.
I mean, it's not far-fetched at all. Robert Smith is doing the 2% plan where he wants, corporate America's He feels like the best way to reverse corporate America's history of structural racism is for big banks and large companies to spend the next 10 years investing 2% of their net income, you know, in the banking and telecom and technology and education and healthcare infrastructures in the Black community. So you right there, Tip. That's right. I like it.
I spoke to Robert Smith, man. I let him review the letter before I sent it out. I told him of my plan. I asked him to surround me with whatever structure or infrastructure that I needed to carry it out from point A to point Z. I also called Puff. I also called Jay-Z. I also called Killer Mike. I also called Tamika Mallory. I'm not just in this on my own by myself. I am enlisting. I also called you, Charlamagne.
Yes, sir.
I am enlisting the minds and strategies of people who have more information than me, who are smarter than me, who may have a different perspective than me, and who have a different position in the financial structure of society than me. So I ain't just trying to, you know what I'm saying, come up with something that I'm trying to benefit myself on. This is something that I feel that the entire diaspora of us who have been victimized in America can benefit from this. And all we got to do is stick together.
So is this what reparations looks like to you?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. It's the beginning of it.
Mm-hmm.
See, the thing is, when people say reparations, they think about a one-time payoff. I don't think it's ever gonna be no one-time payoff.
No.
You know what I'm saying? We have to create an economic base. That's what we lack right now. We do not have an economic base. We have the value of our spending power, but when we take that dollar and put it outside our community, then it's not an economic base at that point anymore. You dig what I'm saying? We just kind of it benefits others at that point. For it to benefit us, we must create a self-sustainable economic base. And I feel like having equity in companies that have been proving to be financially profitable over the past, call it 400 or so years.
That's right.
So having a percentage in companies like that, I feel will develop this economic base and allow us to build our communities the way we have been in need of for hundreds of years.
Has anyone responded yet from Lloyd's of London?
No, not yet. Not yet. I mean, you know, it's over the weekend. I'm sure they had a pretty busy weekend on the golf course or whatnot. So, you know, now that it's Monday and they're back in their office, I know they've received it because Forbes published an article about it. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure that their peers and constituents read Forbes religiously, so I'm sure they couldn't miss it.
And the truth of the matter is, Lloyd's of London, they put themselves in this situation. I guess we respect them for coming forward and admitting their wrongs publicly, but now, what you gonna do about that? We need more than just an apology.
Right.
Absolutely. I think it's only right. I think it's fair. And this is the thing. When you say reparations, I feel like you're asking someone to agree with you on something.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody's ever going to agree to just give you money unless you create a significant amount of leverage for yourself.
True.
And the only way you can do that is you must band together and create collective strength. And I feel like that's what this is. We can't wait on no judge to bang no gavel and no settlement on our behalf. It's not gonna happen. We can't wait on the government to say, you know what, they deserve this. This is the right thing to do. It's not gonna happen. You gotta force somebody's hand and put somebody in a position where they have absolutely no choice but. And that's what this is. This is a matter of morality. It's not a legal matter. This is a matter of morality. So you've already said that, you know, morally, you're ashamed of the role you played.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well now, I'm showing you how to fix it. Let's see how ashamed you are of it. Let's see if you really mean that, or if it's just lip service and you just talking like all the other fancy white men been doing for the past 400 years to us.
How you feeling right now, Tip, about the state of the world? Like everything we just went through, the protests, the coronavirus, just everything. What do you think about the state of the Black community right now?
Or even the shootings that's been going on. A lot of young kids have been killed.
Man.
And we do have elections coming up as well.
I feel that it's an atrocity. They are definite atrocities, but it's expected. It's the swell. You know what I mean? This country and our position in this country was founded on violence, intimidation, and fear tactics. You know what I'm saying? So the way you begin a situation is the way it will end.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? Our journey from our native land over to this country, our journey in this country from the time we got here up until today has led up to this. And we've seen all indications that this is what it should lead up to.
Mm-hmm.
I have no other reason to believe anything else is a reasonable outcome. So, I mean, although I hate it, it's inevitable, I feel like. You know what I mean? Until we stand up and do something to stop the atrocities that happen to us, they will persist.
What does that look like? What does that standing up to stop it look like to you?
I think it's a lot of different things. That's not a monolithic answer. That's a very diverse, because we're dealing with a diverse set of problems. So it's going to take a diverse solution. I feel that, first of all, okay, 3 things. Mm-hmm. Education, opportunities, and exposure. The lack of those 3 things plague our communities. For one, we've been dependent on our oppressor to educate us, which is foolish all within itself.
Right.
If you have an oppressor, he's not going to give you the information that you need to liberate yourself. You got to get that yourself. You got to get that on your own. Mm-hmm. But we have not yet done enough to build, of course, like our children, when they go to kindergarten, preschool, they learn from their curriculum about heroes that were basically made heroes for enslaving our people.
That's right.
You'll never catch a Jewish community sending their children to a school that teaches their children that Hitler was a hero. Never. It'll never happen. You dig what I'm saying? So we have to find ways to build educational infrastructures around our community so we can educate our own children financially, historically. You dig what I'm saying? And also opportunities. We have to create opportunities for ourselves and our people. There are more Black entrepreneurs today than ever before, but unfortunately it's just not enough. You know what I'm saying? We have to develop everything Black people spend money on. It should be a Black company that provides it. Okay? If we make up for 13% of this nation's population, we should make up for 13% of the ownership of land, 13% of we should be represented at least 13-14% on boards of financial institutions and so on and so forth. That should be persistent or consistent throughout. That's but right. It is not. And so opportunities is a big thing, and exposure. Okay, the reason why Black kids are mostly, we gravitate toward hip hop, we gravitate toward basketball, football, baseball, we gravitate towards entertainment because those are the things that we have been exposed to.
Yeah, that's what we see ourselves in. We see
right.
When you're looking for Black faces, brown faces, that's what we at.
Right. If we walked outside and seen a whole bunch of people coding on computers on our corners, then our kids would say, you know what, I think I want to be a coder. I want to develop technology when I grow up. They don't know to dream that big or to have that ambition because they're not exposed to that type of success.
Correct.
So education, opportunities, and exposure. Those are the things that plague our communities. And in order to fulfill those things or bring those 3 things into fruition, we need an economic base. And this is the way, as we've always been told by white people who say Black people lazy and just complain, get a job, who've been telling us, pull ourselves up by our bootstraps. Well, this is us pulling ourselves up by our bootstraps.
That's real. Now, Tip, do you ever say to yourself, man, damn, You look around at everything's going on in the world and how crazy people getting, these white supremacists, these militias, everybody. You ever say, damn, now's a horrible time to not be able to own a gun?
I mean, yes, I do say that. But, I do say that. But luckily for me, man, I have people, I'm surrounded by people who love me, that'll die for me, you know, and not because I'm paying them to, because they know I die for them too. You dig what I'm saying? Absolutely. And they are able to carry guns. So you dig what I'm saying? So just because I don't have it in my hand, don't mean that motherfucker ain't around.
There you go.
You know, now being an artist, T.I., you know, the biggest thing with the pandemic is these artists can't work. They can't go on the road. They can't perform. They can't do any of these things. What do you think is going to happen next for those artists?
I think streaming's going to go up. That's one thing. So I think the trend of stream is going to increase gradually, or maybe even I think maybe even astronomically in the next 6 months to 18 months, just given how much time people will have to spend in their houses. And I think that there will be companies like Versus, you know, that will be birthed from these circumstances. I think that there will be a virtual touring component set up where, you know, instead of going to an arena, millions will go to a computer and watch a live performance from someone at a stage with production value and pyro and lighting and so on and so forth, except for you gonna have this experience individually at your computer in the privacy of your own home rather than actually being in a venue. I think those things will happen. I think, man, you know what? Whenever God closed the door, he opened the window. You know what I mean? It just my job to find out where the breeze coming from.
And it makes so much sense because when these kids go to these concerts now, all they doing is watching them through their phone any damn way.
You dig what I'm saying? I mean, man, but you know, I want to touch on something that you just spoke on. When you spoke about, you know, the militias and the white people going crazy. And, you know, to be honest with you, I want to let everybody know something. This is only happening because they see that their position is dwindling.
That's a fact.
Okay? This is only happening. They're becoming irate because it's becoming known that the hateful racist whites, their run is over, period.
That's right.
Their run is over. You know what I'm saying? The jig is up. Your children ain't fucking with you. Your grandchildren are little brown babies. And I mean, and society nobody likes you, bro. Like, you just got little dick energy. Nobody likes you. You're not cool and fun and hip to be around. You got no sauce, no drip, no flavor. It's literally food with no flavoring. So it's up. And because they see that, it's just like when you see a person drowning, they grabbing for anything. They don't know what they grab. If you threw their ass a glass of water or a straw, they'll grab that too. They just grab it for anything. And that is that's the source of the irate nature that we're seeing out of the hateful racist whites, the Karens and Kens. You know what I mean? They're seeing that their grip is loosening. And it's our time now.
And you know, when you put out that album, Us or Else, man, when I think about that us now, the us is definitely black people, but the us is like anybody who's ever been oppressed or marginalized in this country. Is us versus white supremacy, period.
Sure. Absolutely. I don't want to, this isn't a black versus white thing. We are the most impacted and affected, but whether the hateful racist whites know it or not, they're being impacted by white supremacy adversely too. You got people in middle America, man, who can't rub two nickels together, man, who, you know, and it's because they refuse to work with people based on the color of their skin. When those people have better ideas, better opportunities, and, you know, can open doors that their hateful racist constituents cannot. So they're really making themselves suffer for an unjust cause. And I think it's not a black and white thing. It's a fair and reasonable versus hateful and discriminative thing. Like, either you're a fair and reasonable person or you're a hateful, discriminative person. And it's like you said, us against white supremacy. We love our white ally, man. I have great partners, man, who I feel like I can trust, who I feel like are on the side of righteousness, when it comes to equality on behalf of people of color. And I don't see them any different than I do a person of color if we standing on the front line side by side, you know, in this war that we're in. I see them just as much of an ally, just as much of an asset, and just as much of a weapon against this shit as I would my own brother.
That's real.
What are your thoughts about Nick Cannon then and him losing his situation at Viacom CBS? And I see now he's having all these conversations with different people and trying to educate himself on what he said, but I do feel like they prematurely just asked him for something that he said without giving him the opportunity to do that and find out what was so wrong with what he said.
Yeah, I think, well, first of all, I have to really bring myself up to speed specifically with what he said. I understand paraphrasing what he said, but I didn't hear it verbatim myself. So I just really feel like, you know, if a mistake was made, then he has to rectify that mistake. But it ain't our job to counsel him. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? I think that, man, first of all, let's look at Nick Cannon's career and his reputation. Look at how many black people he's put in position and helped and got off of zero. You know what I'm saying? Look at how, you know, time after time after time, he's made contributions to the culture. I think that has to speak for him, especially when it comes to our people on our behalf, how we deal with them. We have to look at that. Now, right. If this is just somebody who just rolled out of bed one day and ain't did nothing but suck from the culture without making no contributions, without giving nobody a hand up, okay, well then maybe we have to deal. But this person, this gentleman here has helped so many young brothers and sisters get off zero out the ghetto and make and live their dreams, create a new way of living for themselves and their family. You can't just throw this man, you got to give him consideration. You must give him consideration, fair and reasonable consideration. We must hold them accountable if necessary, but we can't just discount and discard our people because don't nobody else do their people like that. Why we expected to just throw ours away when they make a mistake?
Right. And in the case of Nick, you know, he made a mistake, but he also apologized for that mistake. But he said the people that came at him the hardest was his own people. His own black people was mad at him for apologizing.
Well, I mean, whether you agree or disagree with the apology, I don't think you take that apology and use it as a reason or as justification to slander or villainize one of our national treasures. You just can't do that. We as a people can't afford to do that. I don't know a motherfucker like how strong motherfucker think we is in this shit, but in order for us to to make it where we going, we got to stick together. So, I mean, I just, you know, I think that everybody kind of get real emotional and overreact and they become very presumptuous. They jump to conclusions. They done cancel me 10, 11 times. I don't get, man, you can't cancel me because you ain't enlist me. You didn't just wake up and say, let me support T.I. or let me support Nick Cannon for no reason. It's something that we're doing. We're providing a service that is of benefit to you, some kind of way, shape, form, or fashion. And that is why you are and have been supporting us. If we stop providing the service, I'm sure you'll stop supporting. So I think that we got to really be reasonable in what we expect from one another and how we deal with one another.
Hey, Tip, how did you feel when you saw Jada call herself to the principal's office, which is the Red Table Talk? Because she called you to the principal's office one time.
Yeah. I respect it.
Mm-hmm.
Man, one thing everybody got to see, I don't care who you are, what you do, how rich you are, how much money you got, where you live, what kind of car you drive. Everybody go through shit. Ain't nobody life perfect. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's just because we're celebrities, all our shit is in front of y'all face. Y'all get to make mistakes and hide it behind anonymity of being just a regular civilian. We don't have that luxury. So I don't mind standing in the fire facing whatever music I got to face just because as a man, I don't think God has given me any and everything I need to get through whatever adversities the universe can throw at me. So I ain't got no problem with standing and facing the music. And for her to take that same approach, I felt was admirable. And for Will to sit there, you did, and actually go through it, I felt, you know what I'm saying, was noble and admirable as well. They got in far more greater detail than I would have been comfortable getting into.
I can't even picture T.I. in that position having that conversation.
You say what?
I couldn't even picture you in that position having that conversation.
Man, I'm telling you. But the great part about it is now, because of their bravery, we have an example of what that looks like. So if either of us are ever in that position, we can go to that red table talk and say, okay, this is how this shit get handled. Let's see.
I got you.
Now, I don't think
this is how this shit is done.
I don't think you and your wife, Tip, would say to each other, we ride together, die together, bad marriage for life.
I think we've already said it. Charlamagne,
no, y'all ain't in no bad marriage.
But now, look, not at all. I mean, listen, man. First of all, this shit ain't about us. So let's. We
clean,
let's just get that straight and clear. This shit ain't about me for a change.
One time, right?
Let me bask in the glory of that for one moment. But nah, man, I think that, you know, marriage is tough, and it's a partnership that you have to work through. And divorce is just, you know, kind of like you throwing your hands up and saying, man, I quit. I can't figure this shit out. I can't figure it out. Ain't nothing I can do. I quit. I'm done. But I think, you know, as I've always heard, man, champions find a way. So if you believe you've aligned yourself with a champion and you believe you're a champion yourself, ain't no motherfucking reason why y'all shouldn't be able to find a way. You know what I mean? But at the same time, it also travels hand in hand with the fact that if a motherfucker ain't happy, a motherfucker ain't staying.
Right.
And if each individual in this partnership ain't waking up every day saying, how can I make them as happy as I want to make myself? And if you're willing and you're invested in that, and your partner, and you seeing how invested your partner is in making you happy and want you to be happy, makes you feel like, well, shit, I gotta invest in their happiness. I see how much they invested in mine. And it's that partnership, that give and take, that push and pull is what allows y'all to work through the toughest of time. And I think that is what we saw at that red table talk.
Right.
Being a father, we seen you said some things that hurt your daughter's heart. How's your relationship now, and how did you make up?
I cried a little watching that episode. I'm not gonna lie. I felt so bad. I felt really bad for her.
I mean, okay, and that is, again, if any father ever finds themselves in a situation similar to that, we now have historically documented an example of how to deal with it. You know what I'm saying? And I think, excuse me. Oh, I think that's important. I think as a people, we have to look to one another to be the examples as we move forward, because we're dealing with very unique times, and we don't always have the answer. But how did I deal with it?
Yep.
Same way I deal with everything else, straight ahead. Sweetheart, if that hurt your feelings, that wasn't my intention. I actually spoke about that moment because it was a proud moment for me. I didn't think of you as a young adult who, you know, is beginning her adult life and how that may affect you in a public forum. I didn't. I thought of you as my baby girl. And I thought of you as now you're still my baby girl. And I'm proud of that. And if that hurt you, I'm sorry, but that wasn't my intention. You know what I mean? I dealt with it that way. But all the other people who were presumptuous and jumped to conclusions and got to some weird, freaky, creepy shit, man, fuck y'all, because that ain't never been Tip. Tip ain't never rocked like that. You dig what I'm saying? Who assumed, those people who assumed, oh, he's in the exam room with her. And I never said that. I never said that. Those people who assumed, her mother had no involvement and no knowledge that this was going on. I never said that. You got, and those people who assume he made her do it against her will. I never said that. These are all conclusions you guys drew on your own based on your own personal experiences with your own family and how you have been dealt with throughout your life. You can't force your fears and failures on us. That ain't how we live over here. You dig? So I felt I was apologetic to her, but at the same time, it was still fuck you to them. Because I don't owe none of them no explanation, because this is my baby, has been my baby, and always will be my baby. And y'all ain't been here before and won't be here after. You're just here right now because it's a topic of interest. So I don't care nothing about what they got to say, because they truth ain't our truth.
Gotcha.
Now, did you see that Asheville, North Carolina agreed to give reparations? I'm going back to the Lloyd of London thing.
I did.
Reparations to the black citizens there?
I did. Yes, I did. And I think that's noble. I think that's a great start, you know. But I don't think Asheville, North Carolina, or any city in America, any one individual city in America has enough to get us what we truly need. And what we can't afford to do is accept trinkets, is accept crumbs, drops in the bucket, a $1,500 check. We can't do that now. I ain't going for that one. You can keep it. I won't accept it. Nope.
Yeah, because they're not even giving direct payments. It's like they say they're gonna make investments in the areas with black residents.
I want to hear that.
My big plan.
This is my goal. My goal is to get every black person in America that's a descendant of slavery $1 million at least. That take about 44 trillion. So that's my goal. So I'm working up on 44 trillion. You know what I mean? 10% of Lloyd's of London, we 5.6 billion there. So we gonna have to, you know, build that and grow it into 44 trillion, and everybody get $1 million.
Right. All right.
Well, Tip,
I like it.
We appreciate you for checking in, T.I.
Hey, Tip.
And make sure you tell Tiny a happy belated birthday from us as well.
Man, I will, man. We still celebrate, man. We about to head somewhere sunny, man. And you know what I'm saying? Fuck it up some more.
Hey, where was y'all? I saw you somewhere. I was like, man, what beach is they on?
Man, we was in the Virgin Islands.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. You can go to the
Yeah, St. Thomas. We was in St. Thomas, the Virgin Islands. It's beautiful there. It's beautiful. We was also looking at a real estate play. You dig what I'm saying?
Here you go.
I'm in Playa del Carmen right now in Mexico.
Well, shit, ball out then, yee. Come up.
Hey, man,
Love and respect, man.
Make sure y'all check out that Expeditiously podcast, too.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, man. Hey, man, thank y'all for all y'all do, man, for the culture and all your contribution, man. I appreciate y'all giving me some time to speak. And shit, go to usorelse.org to sign the petition for the Lloyd's of London call to action. If you agree with the message and the intention, go to usorelse.org and sign that petition. And if you don't, then don't complain about not having shit, because if we can't stick together for this, man, I can't fuck with y'all. I just can't. If we can't stick together to get something done for y'all, I can't fuck with you. Ain't nothing I can do. It's just you're non-fuck-wittable. I just can't find myself. I mean, for real, because if all we gonna do is sit around and complain, and I'm a man of solutions. You know, I'm a man. I consider myself a master solution strategist. And if there's the problem is never the problem, the lack of a solution is the problem. So now we have a problem. We've identified all the problems within our communities. If we ain't willing to stick together to come to a meaningful solution, I can't rock with this group.
And guess
what? I got to find me another group to rock with.
Hey, guess what? The worst that can happen is you get $1 million.
You dig what I'm saying?
That's the worst that can happen.
Hey, that can never be bad. $1 million, and guess what? $1 million is never late. I heard this from Bone Crusher, man. Hey, man, $1 million is always on time. I don't give a damn if you posted got it Tuesday and it don't come to Friday. Like, you know what? It's right on time. Just on time for the weekend. Like, $1 million is always on time. It ain't never late. So everybody who feel like you should have had, and you know what I'm saying, and your childhood was fucked up, and hey, man, now's the perfect time to get your shit together, and here's how we do it.
Hey, that's one of my favorite Expeditiously podcasts, the one you did with Bone Crusher and the brother who used to run the Attic Crew. What's his name? PK.
Yeah, Pretty Ken.
Man, because it's just like Atlanta got such a rich history in hip hop. So to hear y'all 2-3 Atlanta natives just really talking about Atlanta was like real eye opening. That was one of my favorite ones.
Hey man, mine too, bro. I feel like, man, Bone Crusher and Pretty Ken, man, have so much knowledge, wisdom, and perspective, you know, as an Atlantan that watched this go from, you know, a small town that most people consider country to becoming a mecca and metropolis for hip hop and fashion and culture. I think we just have, like, seeing it from then to now is so much to talk about, so much to consider.
Absolutely.
Well, T.I., we appreciate
Man, look, man, I appreciate y'all. I got to head to the plane, man, so I can keep it up.
All right, man.
All right, King.
All right.
T.I., it's the
I
Breakfast
love and
Club.
respect, man.
Yes, sir.